Yo, 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 yo. What's good? What's good? What's good? It's your boy, the Ultimate Rage, coming back with yet another live. Yes, it is 2 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, and we're back. What up? So before we continue, as I always say, make sure you check out The Ultimate Rage on TikTok at The Ultimate Rage 9 and at The Ultimate Rage 079. Yeah. Make sure you follow me everywhere else, pretty much everywhere at The Ultimate Rage. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, Rumble, at The Ultimate Rage. And stop playing games. Yeah. So, what are we going to talk about? It's very simple. As you all know, I am an atheist and an anti-theist. I am a Gnostic atheist. What that means is I am a strong atheist. What that means is I have no problem telling you that there is no God. It is a fact. It's undeniable. You can say whatever you want. It is a fact. And here's the explanation why. Because what the hell is a God? What is that? What is that? What are you even talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about. Everybody has some idea of what they're talking about. Nobody knows. And not only that, but you're not even using any kind of scientific methodology to base your conclusion on. All you're basing it on is ancient philosophy and ancient theology that is clearly not rooted in reality. A theology that was drummed up by ancient goat herders who knows who they were. The fact of the matter is that these people didn't know what the hell they were talking about. They didn't even understand the scientific method. They didn't even know that you're supposed to wash your hands before you eat, or they need to brush your damn teeth. You feel what I'm saying? And these people are going to tell you about how the universe was created, about how the universe came to be. They're going to tell you all these aspects of reality that they can't justify. And you're going to believe them. You are going to sit there and just take their word for it because why exactly? I'm not even sure. All I know is that a lot of people have been bamboozled, hoodwinked, run amok, and led astray. And therefore, it has caused major problems all over the world. In every aspect of life. In education, politics, freaking employment sectors. Everywhere. People have no problem demonstrating their willingness to be delusional. They have no problem acknowledging that they are willing to believe things that are unjustifiable, that are senseless, that are scientifically unsound, invalid, nonsensical, ridiculous, buffoonish, moronic, idiotic, garbage. And yet, you want me to respect your belief? Why? Why should I respect your belief? See, it's 2023 AD. Let me repeat that. It's 2023 AD, not BC, AD. See, the reason why that's important is because now in 2023 AD, we have the scientific method. The scientific method has allowed us to discover so much of our reality, to understand, to gain so much of an understanding of our reality that we can create devices like this that allow us to interact in real time despite being potentially thousands of miles away from each other. And you theists who are scientifically illiterate and unsound as hell, you wouldn't know the first thing to do to create such a device. You could pray all day. You could read the damn Bible all day. You could read the Quran all day. You can read the Bhagavad Gita all damn day. A cell phone is not going to magically appear before you out of thin air. If you want to actually engineer such a device, guess what? You would have to understand engineering. And I know it's not easy. It's actually very difficult. Nobody said it was easy. And that is the problem that we have. That's a huge problem. Matter of fact, I'm gonna talk about that in another live. But everybody wants things easy. Everyone wants things easy. Everybody wants to think that, oh, if I just have this bullshit surface level understanding of some religion, therefore now I have a complete understanding of the entire universe. That couldn't be further from the truth. Understanding the universe means a lot of research, a lot of dedication, a lot of innovation. It is hard. You have to start learning things like physics, cosmology, astronomy. Yeah, the sciences. The sciences is how we actually research this stuff. Closing your eyes and saying a bunch of words doesn't do shit. It literally accomplishes not a goddamn thing. You literally do not reach any kind of conclusion of any kind. You make zero discoveries of any kind by closing your eyes and praying to the Lord, the Lord, the Lord. I don't even know what you're talking. What is the Lord? What is that? Where is that? Where is that? Where exactly is that? How do you detect? What is your method of detection for it? How do you discover this thing? And how do you demonstrate that to the world? Because if you could do that, you would change the face of science. You would change the world. Because now we have a newer understanding of how the universe works, and you would be actually able to demonstrate it and show us that you are very insightful. Strangely enough, theists never seem capable of accomplishing this at all. Ever. Never, ever, never, ever. It never happens. It never happens. It never happens. It never happens. 100% of theists, 100% of the time, fail to demonstrate whatever they claim. They will say things like, well, you know, God is everywhere. And then I'll be like, okay, so God is right there. That's what you're telling me? Hey, everybody, say hello to God. Hi, God. But then I'll ask them, so are you saying that you're a pantheist? Because you're saying God is literally everywhere in everything? Because if that's the case, what the hell does that mean? Demonstrate that. Demonstrate that. Are you saying that God is in the screwdriver? Saying God is in this freaking memory card? You're saying God is in this pack of gum? Saying God is in this freaking hairbrush right here? What are y'all talking about? I mean, if we're going to play that game, we can just make up shit all day. By the way, whoever's watching, thank you for coming through. Please hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. And say something. Talk to me. I don't want to be talking just to myself, because I could do that without being on YouTube. What's up? What is up? But anyway, going back to what I was saying. Pantheists, if you believe that there's a God and everything, what does that mean? What exactly does that mean? First of all, let's rewind it back. What is a God? Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate that. But seriously, what is a God? What exactly is God? What are y'all talking about? Theists. What are y'all talking about? What is a God? Where is it? What is it? How do you describe it? How do you define it? And more importantly, demonstrate that. What's up, Isabella? What's up? What's up? What's up? But how do you define it? How do you demonstrate it? How do you show us what it is, where it is, how it is? Why should we believe what you have to say? Why is it that theists hate having actual discussions with people and being challenged by people for them to demonstrate their claims? Why do we always have to have heated arguments about whether or not your belief is true, if your belief was actually true? See, me, I have no problem demonstrating the things that I claim, because I base what I claim on the evidence that has been gathered by the professionals whose jobs it is to gather the evidence in the first place. That's why I talk about astronomy. That's why I talk about cosmology. And if you ask me, I could refer you to the professionals I'm talking about. All the different other YouTube channels I watch. Channels like freaking PBS Space Time, Cool Worlds with David Kipping, who is a NASA freaking astrophysicist. You know what I'm saying? John Michael Gaudier. All these people who have either the credentials to know what they're talking about, or the people who do their due diligence to know what they're talking about. Isaac Arthur. You feel what I'm saying? So the whole thing is, if we want to actually have a positive impact on the world, if we want to have a positive impact on improving the state of the human condition, we cannot keep bullshitting around. It is absolutely preposterous that there are billions upon billions of people in the world who would rather defer to a delusion to base their lives on. And every time we have discussions about these things, they love to talk in deepities. They love to talk in woo. They love to bullshit around. They love to make excuses. They love to get emotional. They love to get mad. They love to use pathetic argumentation. They love to appeal to emotions. Well, how could there not be a God? Didn't you see the beautiful, wonderful, amazing trees outside? Aren't the trees so green and lovely? Don't you see the leaves? Don't you see the leaves and the stems and the rocks on the ground? Sorry, that's not good enough. You have to actually demonstrate that you know what you're talking about. You have to show us that what you are speaking of is actually sensible, reasonable, logical, and that then we can use that information to impact the world in a positive way. The only problem is that these theists literally have no idea what the hell they're talking about at all. At all. That's why they love to stifle any form of challenge, any form of criticism. They love to do everything possible to limit these things. Isn't that crazy? I just saw that about Ludacris too. I was watching his interview on All the Smoke on Showtime. Another one of my favorite shows. I mean, I've been following Ludacris since he came out. Way back in the early 2000s when I was in high school. So I know I'm dating myself. Been a huge fan. Freaking Word of Mouth was my favorite freaking album. Roll Out is one of the dopest songs ever created. And people always come up with these ridiculous conspiracies. See, and that's another thing. Like, when I talk about theism, I don't want to just talk about theism in general. I want to talk about theism and ridiculous conspiracy theories, ridiculous spirituality ideas. All of these things are nonsense. People love just making up shit. In fact, I'm glad you talked about the conspiracies, because I remember I seen one of those conspiracy theory videos on YouTube maybe a decade or so ago called Blood Sacrifice, talking about how celebrities always sacrifice a loved one so that they can make it. So they talked about, Dame Dash sacrificed Aaliyah and, bullshit like that. And get this, this was my favorite thing in the world. They talked about how Prince was one of these, Illuminati blood sacrificing people. And it's like, the thing that was so funny is that this guy literally, I shit you not, he was talking about how Prince was mixed race. And he said, and I quote, he's 90% black, 15% Italian. Now, I'm no genius, but I was on the math team in high school. And last time I checked, 90 plus 15 is 105. I don't know how that makes any form of sense whatsoever. Now you could say, okay, well maybe, he just did poor math, but still his overarching point is true. No. If you did your due diligence and knew what the hell you were talking about, you would not make such a ridiculous mistake like that. But the overarching point is that people will make all kinds of these ridiculous claims, but they have zero evidence to demonstrate it. But the sad part is that people will just believe it. That's the part that really pisses me off. That's why I highly emphasize that we, as a community, as humans all over the world, need to emphasize logic and reason and critical thinking skills so that we don't just subject ourselves to believing all this bullshit that's out here, falling for scams, falling into cults, falling into ridiculous conspiracy theories and all this dumb shit that's out here. All these people who muddy the waters and hinder our ability collectively to get to the bottom of understanding this reality that we inhabit and understanding our place in it. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I try to tell people about the Fermi paradox. I don't know if you're familiar with that, Isabella, but it's the idea that there's billions and billions of galaxies, each with billions of stars, each with about a couple planets per star. So you would think that there would just be a universe teeming with life, that there would be all types of high-level space creatures, spaceships and megastructures and laser beams and all that type of shit everywhere, that you can just look with a telescope and you can say, oh, look, there go the Romulans again, doing their bullshit. Crazy Romulans. But no, we don't see a damn thing. We don't see anything. We get strange sightings. We get weird kind of like messages, or should I say weird signals that we get, not messages. We get weird signals and detections, but we don't get anything tangible. We don't see actual spaceships. Like we seen that that sighting in Las Vegas. It's a blue light and then claims of big tall men with zero evidence of these tall men that were aliens. We always get that, but we never get anything tangible. So then the question becomes, how is that the case? Why is there not a universe teeming with extraterrestrial life? Exactly. There's no real evidence. And by the way, whoever just came on, thank you for coming through. Please hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. You know how this thing goes. You know how YouTube goes. Show some love and say what's up. Comment. Talk to your boy. But yeah, exactly, Isabella. They have no real evidence ever. And it's so ridiculous because it's like, how is that possible? How are there all these people with all these fantastical claims, but whenever you demand evidence, they have nothing? Myra's mama, what up, what up, what up? Please hit that like button and thank you for commenting. And that's what it always boils down to, the evidence. Like, I'm one of those people, I want to believe that there are aliens. It is one of the craziest things that plagues us as a society, that the universe can be so huge. And not only is it huge, but it's rapidly accelerating in its expansion. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Love, love. The universe is rapidly expanding, accelerating in this expansion, and yet we don't see any life out there. And it's not to say that there isn't any life at all, but we haven't seen it. Now, the thing is, our technology is still in its infancy. We have barely even scratched the surface in terms of what we could accomplish as human beings. They rely on magical thinking in lieu of solid evidence and a real desire for the truth, regardless of what we want to be real or not real. And that's exactly the problem. That's why I always say it's 2023 AD, not BC. In 2023 BC, it makes sense for people to believe all this dumb shit because they didn't have scientific advancement like we have now. They didn't have devices like this that could allow us to interact despite being potentially thousands of miles apart from each other. And so it was difficult to trade ideas and people would just make up shit. But now that we have the scientific method, now that we have all these different branches of science, we can actually investigate the reality we inhabit. And this investigation is what allows us to develop the technologies that are constantly advancing and improving our ability to see clearly what the hell is out there. That's why it was so huge that we launched the James Webb Space Telescope on Christmas Day a couple years ago, because it is giving us the clearest view of the universe that humanity has ever seen, ever. We're literally detecting galaxies that have never been seen before by human eyes in the entirety of human history. These are the things that we accomplish as a result of the scientific method. And we barely just begun. We haven't done shit yet. That's why I get so pissed off all these people who insist that we continually stay steeped in ignorant, nonsensical, antiquated, ancient bullshit belief systems. Because these belief systems do not help us to understand the nature of our reality. They do not help us to discover aspects of our reality so that we can understand it and use that new found understanding to manipulate our reality, to manipulate nature to our collective benefit. You don't read a Bible or a Bhagavad Gita or a freaking Quran and discover the cure for cancer. It hasn't happened in 1,000 years, and it'll never happen. If we got rid of science, we would be fucked. Hoping that one day some Christian sometime would be able to develop cancer by reading the Bible and praying and praying and praying and praying and hoping and wishing, please, Lord, Heavenly Father, Heavenly Father, Heavenly Father, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, thank you, Lord, thank you, Jesus, thank you. What the hell does that accomplish? What does that accomplish? That accomplishes nothing. Okay, maybe it makes you feel good. Okay, maybe you get a high out of it. Maybe it gets you into a different state of mind, endorphins rushing through your brain. Cool, all right? How does that help us solve anything? How does that help us solve any of the problems that plague humanity? How does it help us combat climate change? How does it help us combat child abuse? How does it help us solve people's various ailments, disorders, diseases, viruses, homelessness, corruption and how does it help us solve anything? It doesn't at all. So that's why I'm so huge on actually deferring to reason, logic, fact-based evidence, empathy, and STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. These are the most important tools that humanity has ever developed for actually gaining an understanding of this reality that we inhabit. Because our mere existence is the biggest mystery of all time. And it actually trips me out that more people don't think about this stuff. They just accept some bullshit belief system, just going about their lives. Exactly. It must be God's will. LOL. And it's like, what the hell does that mean? What does that mean? Where is this? What is this God? What is it? Where is it? How would anybody know? How do we detect it? And then if there is a way to detect it, what is it? Show us your methodologies. And that's why I always state that theism, religion, is the longest running scam in human history. They have been bamboozling, hoodwinking, running amok, and leading astray humanity for eons. And it's time for this bullshit to come to an end, because at the end of the day, we have the power, we have the tools, we have the capabilities to be better than God, to be better than any non-existent God could ever be. In fact, we could become even greater than the omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent God, because we could develop understanding. We can teach and educate each other and ourselves. I mean, the mere fact that we have the internet is one of the greatest feats of humanity, because now we're able to trade information, and the bullshit that's out there, we can challenge it because now we have logic. We have an understanding of logic. We have an understanding of, how to properly think and assess information and assess claims. So if somebody claims some dumb shit, we can say, all right, let's test that shit. Let's actually see if that works. And you're absolutely right, Myra's mama. Religion precisely ruins societies. The more religious a society becomes, the more dangerous that society becomes. Look at the Global Peace Index. If you look at the Global Peace Index, which you can find on visionsofhumanity.org, all the countries at the very, very, very bottom are highly, highly, highly religious countries, particularly those in the Middle East. Now, granted, no, that's cool. That's cool, Isabella. Just keep chilling out. We hanging out at this point. I wish I could have y'all on, but YouTube's live is not as good as TikTok's, to be frank. But TikTok banned me because they're bitch ass fucking garbage ass website. But anyway, but yeah, just chill out. Do what you gotta do. Keep making that money, and donate to my Cash App, $ the Ultimate Rage. But no, some real shit though. Like, religion, I mean, even though, to be fair, America's foreign policy had a huge impact on ruining these societies too. But at the same time, it's like, look at what they're doing. They're hyper Islam, hyper Muslim, and committing all these suicide attacks, sending babies and children on these suicide missions for what? What the hell are they trying to accomplish? Sharia law? Why? What the hell does that do? The hell does that do? At the end of the day, it's like the goal of humanity should be trying to understand as much of this reality as possible so we can finally understand how the hell we got here, how the hell this universe got here, how we actually exist, what this existence means. Is there more to it? Is the universe all that there is? Is it a multiverse? Is it a superverse, an omniverse? Is it a simulation? Is it something else entirely that we couldn't even have thought of? Like, we need to be trying to get to the bottom of this. So we as a collective human race need to be working together to improve upon the scientific method, to improve upon our scientific understanding. And I'm not saying that we all need to be scientists, but we all need to be contributing to scientific endeavors so that we can gain the understanding. Because gaining the understanding is what is going to have the greatest impact at improving our lives collectively as citizens in the world. Because as the late great Carl Sagan says, like, we could be how the universe understands itself. In other words, we could be like the universe is conscious because we're of the universe. We're in it. We're creatures, products of the universe. And so we could be the actual living mind of the universe trying to understand what the hell all of this is. And believing bullshit does nothing to help us understand. In fact, it hinders our ability to understand. It hinders our ability to figure out what's going on. That's why, again, the James Webb and all these other telescopes have helped us have a great understanding. We're detecting galaxies that we've never seen before. We're figuring out, oh, galaxies existed earlier than we thought before. And that they had a huge impact in star formation, all these different things. So that's why it's so important. That's why it's so important to advocate for science. Because all science is just figuring shit out. So whenever I see these theists who are anti-science, I can't take them seriously at all. Because if you're not going to base your views in science, then what the heck are you doing? What the heck are you basing your beliefs in? And a lot of times they like to say things like, oh, well, you know, it's my faith. Don't you understand my faith? My faith. And as far as I'm concerned, faith is just the equivalent of a delusion. You're choosing to believe something that can't be demonstrated, that is scientifically unsupported, that's senseless, illogical, unsound, but you're choosing to believe it anyway. And you want me to not only accept your belief, but you want me to believe like you. How does that make sense? And then these people will say things like, you know, well, who are you to tell me? It's true to me. It's my truth. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly how delusions work. It's only true to you. Or they'll say things like, I don't have to prove anything to you. It's like, okay, well, if you don't have to prove it to me, then why should I believe it? What kind of salesperson goes around trying to sell a product but doesn't want to even try to attempt to convince you to buy it? Just telling you, buy my product or else. Buy my product or else. You're going to not like it. You're going to go to the terrible place if you don't buy my product. Da, 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 da. It's like, you're not selling me at all. You're not selling me at all. You have not convinced me in the slightest that I need to actually subscribe to these ridiculous notions that you're purporting. You know what I'm saying? Like, a great salesperson is able to actually convince you. They're going to work to try to show you, hey, this product actually works. Not only does it work, but it's amazing. Look, you see this? It cleans everything. It's like an infomercial. They always try to show you this new cleaning product that just makes everything so perfect. You know, check out Flex Glue, Flex Tape. Don't you see how well it works? It can can stick to anything. It's totally perfect. It is indestructible. It is for the low price of $19.99 plus shipping and handling and plus tax and plus major fees and all that type of stuff. Like, if you're gonna try to sell me on your idea, then actually sell me. Otherwise, why the hell should anybody buy in? And that is precisely the problem that we have when it comes to theism, when it comes to these conspiracy theories, when it comes to these ridiculous ideas. Like, say, flat earth. Notice how you never see any flat earthers working for NASA. Wonder why that is. Wonder why we never see flat earthers building rocket ships, sending it up into space, pointing back with cameras and showing us the earth being actually flat. Never, ever. Never, ever, never, ever, never, ever. And it just goes to show the scientific illiteracy among so many of our people. And it goes to show their inability to think critically. It's like they don't even think to even try to be skeptical. There's no skepticism whatsoever. A healthy dose of skepticism never hurt anybody. Like me, myself, I have no problem anybody challenging my view. Because I know that I am logically sound. I know that my views are based in science, which is based in reality, because science is literally the study of our reality. Not just making up bullshit and asserting it as truth. That's why we have the peer review process. The peer review process says that even if you're a scientist and you generally know what you're doing, we're going to have people checking your work just in case you might have fucked up somewhere. Because you can be the best scientist in the world, but you're not a perfect person. Even the best of scientists make mistakes. So we're going to have people over here who are also great scientists who can check your work to make sure it checks out. It's like when you take an exam and you have your teacher checking over your answers to make sure you got the answers correct or not. Imagine taking an exam and the first question is 2 + 2 =, and you want to put 2,759I, and then you get your exam back with a big red X, and then you want to get all mad. How could you say it wasn't 2,176I? Whatever the number I said was, like, how you gonna tell me it's not that? Simple, because clearly you're not good at math. Because there's only one answer. And in fact, the reason why I started making these types of videos is because one of my dear friends from college, we had an hours-long debate about 2 + 2 = 4. It blew my fucking mind. Because we were talking about some other topic. In fact, we were talking about how we can establish a basis for reality. So I was just making a quick aside, like, you know how 2 + 2 = 4, right? So I'm getting ready to make my actual point, but then he's like, nah. And I'm like, nah? What you mean, nah? 2 + 2 = 4, right? He's like, no. And so then we had a whole debate. He's trying to tell me, well, in other cultures, they count differently and blah, 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 blah. And my mind is blown because, like, I used to hang out with this dude. I used to smoke with this dude. We used to have all types of parties, hang out, you know what I'm saying? And I used to really respect his intellect. He's actually a really smart, sharp kid. But once we started having this debate, it blew my fucking mind. And so then I tried to, appeal to his intellect and say, look, man, if we can't agree on basic math, we can't talk about higher level math. We can't talk about derivatives and freaking geometry, trigonometry, if we can't get past 2 + 2 = 4. And then he goes, well, actually, we can. And that blew my fucking mind. And I'm like, bro, I'm sorry, but I'm done with you, man. And I end up blocking him. Because it just goes to show the problems are simply deeply rooted in our society. Because he is a Christian. I'm going to be straight up about that. He's a Christian. Obviously, not all Christians are that goofy. But at the same time, there are a lot of goofy people in this world. There are a lot of people who reject basic aspects of our reality because they want to believe their delusions so badly. They are so deluded that they are willing to forego reality. They're willing to forego basic logic, basic data, basic information to purport their nonsense. And it's so sad. It would be hilarious if it wasn't so sad, because a lot of these people enter into positions of power and decision making, and they use their delusions to enforce the law, which is why, to your point, Myra's mama, we have these societies that end up degrading over time. That's why we have the state of the world as it is today, where we're on the verge of potentially destroying ourselves as a human race. For what? For what? So that people can believe their ridiculous delusions? So that they can sleep well at night believing that there's some being, some entity that's watching over them? Well, they're going to be woken. They're in for a rude awakening when we start seeing crazy storms. You think these wildfires are crazy now? You think these tornadoes are crazy now? You think these earthquakes and tsunamis and all that's just crazy now? Wait till the shit really hits the fan. And we start seeing super duper storms. When we start seeing category F7 tornadoes. And we start seeing freaking category 18 hurricanes and shit. All types of crazy shit. But because people want to reject science, because people want to believe their delusions so bad, we can't even start to get a handle on these things. And don't get me started on the political aspect of it. I'll talk about that another time, because that's one of the hugest issues that we face too, especially here in America. Both major parties are completely, totally, and utterly full of shit. One party completely rejects all science, and then the other party claims that they accept the science, but they're so corrupt that they still approve of actions that further harm our environment. And this is a zero-sum game, which is why we gotta fucking figure out a new game. This game sucks, and I hate shitty games, and I'm a gamer. I haven't played a game in a minute, a real game, but like, I hate shitty-ass games. It's a frustrating experience, and these fools are playing a terrible game. A game where we cannot win at all because they're so full of shit. But like I said, we're going to talk about that another time. We're going to stick to the topic of theism. That's why, you know, when I was on TikTok building up my following, I was directly challenging theists to demonstrate to me where exactly God is. And it was just so funny to see how they would squirm. They would seriously squirm trying to demonstrate to me that their God exists. They would say all types of ridiculous things. Oh, well, God is everywhere. God is in heaven. God is outside of space and time. I'm like, first of all, you're not a physicist. You're not even pro-science. So how are you going to say God exists outside of space and time? How does that even make sense to say? How do you even know there's a such thing as outside of space and time? For all we know, this universe is all that there is. So unless you have a outside of space and time machine detector of some kind, you can miss me with that garbage and actually demonstrate that. Demonstrate it. And of course, they always fall back on faith. They always fall back on my belief, and I'm going to believe it because I believe in it, my belief, and it's my faith. I don't know why you think that that's a respectable answer, but it's not. It's not. I'm sorry, y'all. It's not a respectable answer. That's why you are facing so much criticism, this. That's why people like me, people like Myra's mama, people like This Is Isabella are constantly growing and constantly, you know, coming together to challenge your ridiculous notions. Because at the end of the day, in 2023 AD, you have to actually justify your claims. You actually have to demonstrate that you actually know what the hell you're talking about. And if you can't, then that's when we implement the Hitchens razor. Hitchens razor is developed by the late great Christopher Hitchens, and it's the idea that anything that can be asserted without evidence can be dismissed without evidence. That's one of the reasons why I say I'm a strong atheist. I'm a Gnostic atheist. Because if you want to tell me there's this thing called a God, you have to demonstrate that. And if you can't, then you got to shut the hell up and get the hell out of our face. Get the hell out of all of our face. Because until such time as you demonstrate that there is such a thing, there ain't such a thing. There's no reason at all for us to believe that's even remotely possible until you can demonstrate that it is. That's why I get so sick of like agnostics and agnostic atheists, because they actually give credence to these ridiculous concepts. We don't give credence to the idea of the freaking Cookie Monster or to fairies and pixies and unicorns and any other fictional creature you could think of. We don't say, well, you know, it could be fairies. Fairies could. No, we don't. It is revolting. You damn right, Marvin's mom. It's revolting because it's like, how can anybody think that it even makes sense to say something like that? Because then anybody can just make up anything, and then we have to be agnostic about it and say, well, it could be, it couldn't be, who knows? Knock it off. We have the scientific method now. If there's such a thing, then there should be a method to test that. And until you can come up with a method to test that, I don't even want to hear it. That's why I always tell theists all the time about the Higgs boson. Peter Higgs, who's an actual physicist, hypothesized the existence of the Higgs boson based on his understanding of physics at the time. And because he knew what the hell he was talking about, the Higgs boson was eventually discovered back in 2012 at the Large Hadron Collider in Switzerland. That's why he has been vindicated and validated, because he knew what he was talking about. He wasn't just saying shit because it sounded cool. It's not like, oh, he's like, oh, I heard a voice from God that told me to come up with the Higgs boson. No, he's like, look, I'm a physicist. I've been studying it my whole life, and based on what we understand, there has to be a particle that gives mass to particles. There has to be a subatomic particle that gives particles actual fucking mass based on the data that I have here. There's got to be a way to test it. So then once we developed the Large Hadron Collider and they started testing it, they actually found the data. And then not only was he vindicated, but the scientists won Nobel Prizes. And now they've been lauded as greats. They changed our understanding of the nature of our reality because they were actually doing the work to understand it. But these people out here, they just bullshit and talk shit and say it so passionately. They say it so passionately because, of course, saying it passionately like this makes it more true, right? It totally makes it true. If I was just chill like this, it's totally false, and I wouldn't be saying shit because that just means that I'm totally not true. But if I say it like this and I yell and I scream and I'm like, yes, it's totally true because I said it's true, that makes it true, right? No, it does not. No, it does not. Sorry to break it to you, theists, but that's not how logic works. That's not how science works. First, you have to actually study science. You have to actually study it. You actually have to immerse yourself in it. You have to study logic. You have to understand logic, understand how to think, and understand how not to think. Understand the fallacies not to make. Things like red herrings, no true Scotsman fallacy, two cocaine fallacies, ad hominem, freaking arguments from ignorance, arguments from personal incredulity, all these different things. These are things that you don't do, so avoid doing that. But every single time, all these theists, they make the same mistakes. Then they go so far as to try to make the most preposterous arguments, like the Kalam argument, the Kalam cosmological argument. I'm not trying to hear none of that garbage ass bullshit at all. Because at the end of the day, there's a such thing as a God. Theist, it is incumbent upon you to demonstrate it. Exactly. We got bullshit detectors, and it's going off like crazy. It's going off. I need to turn this machine off because it won't stop beeping. Every time these fools open their mouth, it just goes crazy. It just goes crazy. It's like, what the hell? I can't get this. It's like a freaking fire alarm went off. Because these fools are out here just capping and capping and capping all day. So that's why I like to call my lives the no cap zone. Because we don't do no capping bullshit up in here. If you're going to make a claim about the nature of our reality, then it's incumbent upon you to demonstrate it. And another thing I always say is, like, say, these theists, they'll say things like, well, can you prove there's not a God? Can you prove that there's not a God? And I'm just like, I don't have to disprove your unproven nonsense. That's like asking me, or me asking you, hey, can you disprove the existence of Pinocchio? Can you disprove the existence of the 7 dwarfs? Why do you have to disprove it? No, the burden of proof is on the person claiming something to exist that they have no evidence for. And conversely, the burden of proof is on the person denying something exists that there's a lot of evidence for. Like people who are Holocaust deniers. The burden of proof is on the Holocaust denier to demonstrate that the Holocaust didn't happen. They can't just assert that it didn't happen. They have to demonstrate it. Because there's so much overwhelming evidence showing that it did happen. People who were actually there or who experienced it. All types of documentaries, all types of pictures, all kinds of freaking documents, all types of evidence that shows that it happened. That's why it's like, again, people need to understand critical thinking. They need to understand logic, because that's one of the reasons why we have all these ridiculous, preposterous discussions, and these discussions always lead to nowhere. And again, going back to my friend with the 2 + 2 = 4, we can't even understand the basics. How are we going to reach another level? That's why, I always tell people about what's called the Kardashev scale. The Kardashev scale ranks a civilization based on this energy output. And the whole idea is, right now, like, there are 4 levels. Well, technically 3 levels, but there's 3 levels to the Kardashev scale. A Kardashev type 1 civilization can harness the energy output from a host star onto the planet. A Kardashev type 2 civilization can harness the energy output of the entire star, and the Kardashev type 3 civilization can harness the total energy output of the galaxy, the host galaxy. So then the 4 would be the universe, but that's why it's like, we don't really count that. But the point is that we aren't even a type 1 civilization. And as long as we stay steeped in garbage, theistic nonsense, spiritual woo, or conspiracy theory crap, we're never going to get there. We're never going to reach the higher levels. We're barely scratching the surface. We're currently at 0.75. I'm trying to get to type 3 and beyond. We should all be aiming to get there. And what's crazy is knowing that we could get there even faster. Everybody knocked it off with the bullshit, got their minds right, and said, hey, let's do away with this ancient, antiquated nonsense, and let's focus on the scientific method. Just imagine if instead of 3 billion, 4 billion theists in the world, they were all accepting of science and were contributing to scientific endeavors. How much more developed, how much more advanced we could become as a human race. There's all types of structures, all types of experiments we could be performing right now based on our current levels of understanding. That's why I highly recommend the YouTube channel Isaac Arthur if you haven't seen it yet. Because he talks about all different types of megastructures we could be creating right now based on our current level of understanding of the laws of physics. Like creating space elevators, creating what's called O'Neill cylinders, space habitats in space where we can actually customize our living situation and make it even more suitable for our lives than the Earth itself is. My Cash App is $ the ultimate rage. Thank you so much. Thank you. But it's like, these are the things that we could be doing right now. I want to see these things happen right now. I want to see a space elevator. I want to see what life on the O'Neill cylinder would be like. I want to see actual like colonies on the moon and on Mars and stuff like that. We could be actually doing these things if we weren't wasting our time with all of this pseudo-intellectual bullshit that's getting us nowhere. It's getting us nowhere. We are accomplishing not a damn thing. We are literally holding ourselves back for no reason. Absolutely, positively no reason. I mean, we could really become superhuman. We could eliminate diseases and ailments. We could actually heal the sick. We could actually help regrow limbs or give people better limbs. Artificial limbs that work better than their natural ones could. We could heal the blind. We could heal the deaf. We could try to help people suffering from brain injuries regrow their neurons in their brain so that they can gain back their sanity. We could accomplish so much. This is just the tip of the iceberg. What I'm talking about now, this is just basic little shit. It doesn't take into account the great things that we could accomplish even better than that. And we could actually reach that level if we knocked it the hell off with this dumb shit. That's why it's so important for us to push back against all bullshit, all scams, all garbage that are hurting our communities. Particularly those that are hurting our kids. Because at the end of the day, the kids are the future. And if they're not armed with the knowledge, if they're not armed with the tools, how can we ensure a better future for humanity? How can we ensure our collective survival and an enhanced well-being if we're just fucking around, wasting our time with bullshit, and not actually contributing to the endeavors specifically for improving our human condition? I mean, we're learning that there's microplastics in the rain, there's microplastics in our blood, that the entire world is super polluted. We got the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, a giant landmass the size of Texas, just full of garbage. Just full of straight up garbage. And yet, now we're also seeing on the flip side, we got AI on the verge of taking off. We got freaking the CRISPR method and the PASTE method, which are genetic modification capabilities. We got nanotechnology on the verge of coming up. And most people are totally, completely, and utterly ignorant of these things. They're totally unaware of these things. And that's why we need to start bridging the gap between scientific literacy and the layperson. Because at least here in America, I don't know where you're all from, but here in America, we have become an extremely scientifically illiterate populace. It's actually disgusting how little people know or understand about science. Even myself, I used to be anti-science. I used to not care about science because I used to be a theist. And when I went to college and I took an astronomy class, it opened my mind. It opened up a whole field of understanding for me. Because I actually started to learn and understand what the hell was going on. Because before that, I didn't care about space shit. I didn't care about chemistry and biology and all that type of shit. That shit was boring. Boring. Why should I care about any of that? But then, when I took astronomy, it was like, oh shit. I never really understood this stuff. And plus, my college has a nice, solid, state-of-the-art observatory. So they have a really nice telescope, and we actually got to look through it, and we actually got to see different planets and different interstellar bodies. And it's like, if more people had access to this information, if more people had access to these types of things, we could actually accomplish so much. People would gain such a greater understanding. But like in a city like here in Chicago, we have so much light pollution, we barely even can see anything. We see a few stars here and there. You see a couple planets, but it's not like being in the open field where you can see all types of shit in the sky, where you can see the Milky Way in the sky. And so it's like if we had a more scientifically literate populace, we would have a greater quality of life. People would be more sensible. Doesn't mean people would be perfect, but at least we could work towards becoming more perfect, improving upon ourselves, improving upon our intellect, improving upon our physical capabilities, improving upon our mental capabilities, improving upon our educational facilities, and improving the state and quality of life. As an example, I'm in the city of Chicago, Southside, 079, what up? And a lot of people talk about, oh, Chicago's such a great city, it's so amazing. And personally, as a futurist myself, I think it's overrated as fuck. Not because, oh, well, in comparison to other cities that currently exist here in America, it's not as good. But I'm a futurist. I'm thinking about what it could be, what we could accomplish. And to me, compared to that, this ain't shit. This ain't shit. Our architecture could be so much better. We could be actually working to end the extreme homelessness that occurs. If you go downtown in Chicago, you can see all the nice tall buildings everywhere. You'll see all these homeless people everywhere. All these people begging for change everywhere. There's homeless communities in the area called Lower Wacker. It's this underground, like, part of Chicago where you can access a lot of the loading docks for a lot of the big buildings because you can't get there above ground, so they have it underground. So there's a whole community of homeless people under there. So it's like you're looking under the hood of the city and seeing that everything ain't as cracked up to be. And so my whole thing is, like, I mean, there are other cities in other countries where they have way more modern infrastructure that are way cleaner, that, you know, they don't have as much littering, they don't have as much homelessness. I mean, we here in America, we don't even have speed trains. I remember being in high school, and I talk about this all the time, watching the episode of King of the Hill when Hank goes to Japan and he's chasing after his dad because his dad was freaking crazy, running around doing this thing. And so Hank gets on the train and he's like, damn, this train going slow as hell. What the hell? And then he looks up at the speedometer and it's going like several hundred kilometers an hour. And he's like, oh shit, my bad. That was like in 2004. It's 2023 and we still don't have that here. And we're supposed to be the greatest country in the world. How could that possibly be when by almost every metric we are failing miserably to create a well-functioning society for ourselves? That's why, again, like I said, on the Global Peace Index, out of 163 countries, one being the best and most peaceful and 163 being the least peaceful, we rank 129. We're not even in the top 100. We're not even in the top 100. This is supposed to be the greatest country in the world. We have the highest GDP in the world. We have the largest military in the world by far. We have the highest prison population in the world. Despite the fact that America accounts for 5% of the world's total population, we account for 25% of the world's prison population. That is disgusting. That is absurd. There's so much more I could go into, but I'm not trying to bother you guys all day. But I thank y'all for coming through and chilling with your boy, listening to what I have to say, because at the end of the day, we could be doing so much better as a human race, and that's what we should be focused on. Putting our bullshit biases aside, putting our agendas aside, and making the agenda the most important agenda, improving upon the human race, improving upon the human condition so that we can have a well-functioning society, healing the sick, curing diseases, figuring out disorders and how we can counteract them, even prevent them, eradicating diseases from our human gene pool. Things like cystic fibrosis, ALS, cancer, all these different diseases. Improving and extending the human lifespan. All these different things. These should be our goals as a human race. And because I'm biased and I'm an American, as Americans, we need to be doing that. But as humans all over the world, I mean, even having the mind state of a nation, like, oh, I'm an American, or I'm a Mexican, or I'm a this, or I'm a that. We shouldn't be thinking like that, because we become such a global society, a global economy. It's like, we're human beings. Like, why are we going to war? For what? We're all in this together. We have to coexist. So why don't we? Why we gotta be fighting? For what? We are all brothers and sisters of Earth. All the people who have ever existed have been right here. And we got this constantly expanding universe. We could be trying to figure out what the fuck is out there, but we're too stuck being bothered on this bullshit. Conceivable Dark, what up, fam? Thank you. You late as hell, bro. Make sure you hit that like for sure. Please, thank you. Por favor. But these are the things that, like, we need to be focused on. Improving the quality of life for ourselves as a human race. Actually trying to work towards how we can improve our communities, how we can improve our neighborhoods, our cities, states, countries, or whatever, municipalities. How we can improve international relations, because the fuck is the point of us beefing with anybody? I ain't got no beef with you. I'm not trying to drop nukes nowhere. For what? For what? What do we accomplish by doing that? How do we accomplish anything harming ourselves and each other? How? I mean, at the end of the day, there's so much to discover about the nature of our reality, to discover about just the Milky Way. Just in the Milky Way, just in our solar system. For all we know, there could be microbial life on one of Saturn's moons or some shit. One of Jupiter's moons. Or there could be some kind of life in the Alpha Centauri star system, on Proxima b or some shit. We should be working towards trying to actually find the answers. We're not going to find the answers if we just sit around wasting our time. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. What does that do? Okay, yes, it might feel nice to sing and dance. Exactly. I mean, eventually, genetically grown meats. You know what I'm saying? The vegan thing is a hard thing. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a meat eater, and I understand the meat industry is a huge part of climate change. And that's what's so fucked up about all this shit. It's like we don't even have the ability to combat these motherfuckers, because we have governments that try to shield, especially here in America, we shield the factory farming industry from being audited. We can't even bring cameras into the facilities because, oh no, they might get exposed for their harm and cruel practices. Like, what is up with our inability to properly, regulate these industries? Why are we so anti-regulation here in America? Like, what the fuck, man? Like, we should want to ensure that we have high quality foods, that we have high quality products, especially if we're going to be putting them into our bodies. It's 2023. There is no reason why we should have low grade meat of any kind. There's no reason why we should have low grade anything. That's supposed to be the point of innovation, that we have high quality things. And now that we have, like, genetic modification and stuff like that, we should be able to develop lab-grown meat so we can totally eradicate factory farms entirely, so that we don't ever have to kill animals. We can just grow the meat. We can just grow meat, make sure that it's actually not only just healthy, but hell, we could modify it to be healthier than the meat from actual animals. And it'll be cruelty free because it's grown in a lab. That's the whole thing about innovation. That's why we should be focused on innovation, because we can improve upon things and improve upon our quality of life all over the world. There is no reason for us to be stuck in these dire situations, for us to have these fucked up communities where everything is crazy, where we have to worry about going to war with any of these other countries for what? There's no reason we should be spending more and more and more money on the military for fucking what? Especially considering the fact that they waste so much fucking money and they never pass an audit. It gets wasted. It goes in people's pockets. And that's another thing about the industrial complex, particularly the military industrial complex. Motherfuckers get paid, so now they're like, okay, well, we don't want the money train to stop, so let's just start some shit so that we can keep the game going. Because if we actually had peace, we might be out of a job. You see what they doing? They ain't like that. I was starting to say some real shit. They started to say, oh, calm down now. Calm down now. But that's what I'm saying. Like, the military industrial complex, I mean, it's another industry. And that's the problem of industrialization. The gift is that industrialization helps us improve so much about our quality of life, but the con is that because we've become so hyper-capitalist, everything is about the unlimited growth model and how these different industries can constantly keep the money flowing. But I know I'm getting a little carried away here because I was talking about theism and all that type of shit. But see, the whole thing is that all these different things are interrelated. And that's why it's so important for us to be focused on the actual, like, topics and to actually educate ourselves and each other on all these different things. We cannot improve our societies if we're not learning and understanding what the fuck is going on around us. If we don't actually study, if we don't actually pay attention to what's going on, then how could we ever hope to have a positive impact? How could we ever hope to actually improve upon life, improve upon our society? That's why it's so important for us to have a properly educated populace. And I don't mean just, oh, y'all went to school and got a degree. I mean living a life of education, making sure that even after school, you're constantly learning things, because education is key. Having a well-educated populace, a populace that values education, that values knowledge, that values the acquisition of data, we can use that information to make improvements, to make good decisions, individually and collectively as people. We can have high-level conversations. We can put our heads together to think ourselves through all these different issues that we have to deal with. Because we come together and say, well, let's just hope and believe that the Lord is going to save us, it ain't going to happen. The Lord ain't there. Sorry to break it to y'all. The Lord ain't nowhere to be found. Yes, Chicago's got huge issues. We got so many issues. Right here, 79th Street. Churches all up and down this motherfucker. I got robbed at gunpoint in front of a church. And yet this is one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in the nation. We effectively call it Killer Ward. Let me repeat that. We call my neighborhood Killer Ward. I remember one time I was on TikTok Live, and some jackass decided they were going to dox me. So they started posting my address all in the chat. Just kept repeatedly posting my address. And so I was like, all right, well, y'all got my address. Now, I wish one of you goofy motherfuckers would come through and try some dumb shit. Because this is Chicago. This is Southside Chicago. All right? All the shit that you be hearing about in the news, a lot of that shit happens right over here. I don't know if y'all remember, like a decade ago, this young man named Tyshawn Lee was murdered. He was murdered right over here. Literally right over here. Right there. You can look it up. Tyshawn Lee. It was a national story. He went to my elementary school wearing the yellow and black. It happened literally right here. Okay, over some gang shit. Yes, corn is okay, but they need to be more flavorful. Anyway, we now grow a lot of our own food. We have a small garden, but about 30 different veggies, herbs, and fruit trees. And that's what's up. That's what's up, fam. Hook me up. Hook me up for real. Can use a few veggies and fruit. I love fruit. No bananas, though. I'm not a banana guy. Sorry. I know it's rich in potassium, but can't do bananas. Grapes, I love. Oranges, tangerines, citrus fruits, yes. All day. But no, I'm serious. I'm like, you can try to come around this motherfucker if you want to. You can come trying to fuck around this neighborhood if you want to. End up getting yourself got. End up getting fucked up. They call us Chirac for a reason. So you want to come around playing those games, you a brave soul, trust me. Because I got something for you. And I got others who got something for you. You come around playing those goofy games. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not one of these people that lives in some wonderful, amazing, like, suburb or some shit. So if you think you finna come around here playing games with me, you are a brave person. A super brave person. So that's the whole thing. It's like, ultimately, every neighborhood should be a great neighborhood. We shouldn't have to be worried about, well, I live in this type of neighborhood, I live in the slum, or I live in the hood, or I live in a rural, trailer park or something like that. Every neighborhood should be a wonderful, safe, beautiful neighborhood. We shouldn't have certain sectors of the population where people are downtrodden, where people are suffering, where people are dealing with all types of horrors and all types of crazy situations. That's why one of my favorite channels, I know you know Inconceivable Dark, we already talked about this. One of my favorite channels on YouTube is called Soft White Underbelly, because it shows us the real America. The real America. And it's crazy because this is all over the place. Pretty much America's like a third world country. We love to pretend that we're this amazing, wonderful country where there's all this money and the American dream and all that type of shit. But as the late, great George Carlin said, they call it a dream because you have to be asleep to believe it. Because the overwhelming majority of people ain't living the dream. Even people with six-figure salaries are living check to check. A third of Americans have some form of medical debt. All types of people have credit card debt. And then we got all types of student loan debt. I got student loan debt. That shit is whack as hell. So it doesn't make sense, the state of affairs that we found ourselves in. We could be doing so much better. And the time is now for us to start doing better. That's why I'm glad I got you guys here with me. You're awesome. Thank you for coming through. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe button if you haven't already. Because I'm telling you, we together are going to change the face of this earth. Because the way things are now is untenable. We're not gonna hope to accomplish anything with bullshit like praying and hoping and wishing. Thank you, friend. Thank you. Exactly. The prices. Oh, what? Are you kidding? Is it the same in the U.S.? What? Is it the same in the U.S.? Oh my God, yo. Are you kidding me? We're talking about the United States of America. We're the most hyper-capitalist corporatocracy in the world. You goddamn right it's the same in the U.S. Prices for everything have skyrocketed. Oh my God, I'm having deja vu. Prices for everything have skyrocketed. Yes, exactly. Exactly. He definitely needs to get an award for sure. Mark Later. No surprise that he's from here, Chicago, you know what I'm saying? Because you got to be a real ass motherfucker to do shit like that, you know what I mean? And so that's why I always recommend, that's why, like, if you fuck with me, I'm always going to recommend dope ass shit to you. So for y'all listening, I highly recommend another channel for you to check out called Melody Sheep. Melody Sheep. All one word. Just go youtube.com/Melody Sheep. This dude, his shit is amazing. This totally different shit. Nothing like Southwire Underbelly. He has amazingly beautiful videos with insane animation and awesome music detailing all kinds of space shit. So check out Melody Sheep because his shit is crazy. He has one video, one of his most popular videos that shows what aliens would look like on other planets if they actually exist. It's fucking fantastic. I'm telling y'all, like, thank me later. All right? Because I'm talking about, make sure, you know, if you're like me, roll something up or grab you a drink, whatever your vice is, lay back, watch it, blow your freaking mind. I'm talking about the animation rivals Disney Pixar shit, and it's just one guy doing it by himself. I think his name is John, and he does shit like he's a filmmaker, a musician, and it shows because his shit is crazy. It's super well produced. I mean, it literally rivals a Disney, Pixar, Marvel, any kind of high level, high quality movie franchise you can think of. It's on that level. That dude needs awards too. So yeah, check out Melody Sheep. Just like it sounds, Melody Sheep. YouTube.com/Melody Sheep. I have no affiliation with the dude. I don't know the dude, but his shit is dope. Oh, so you fuck with him. See, that's why, that's the reason why we cool. That's why we're so cool. Because we fuck with the same shit. So you get it. We here with it. We here with it. So yeah. Definitely check that out. So at the end of the day, what I'm saying is there is so much that we need to understand about the nature of our reality, and religion is not going to get us there. Bullshit is not going to get us there. Bullshit conspiracy theories aren't going to get us there. And before I continue on that, let me be clear. There are some conspiracy theories that have been proven true. There are, for sure, some conspiracy theories that have been proven true. COINTELPRO was a conspiracy. It is a fact. You can go to vault.fbi.gov and you will see COINTELPRO was an FBI investigation. And then if you look on the Wikipedia page of COINTELPRO, you'll see it was an illegal operation to stifle all types of different groups because our government is as Orwellian as hell. Damn, that was itching. MK Ultra, that was a conspiracy theory proven true. The Gulf of Tonkin, that was a conspiracy theory that was proven true. So I'm not sitting here saying that all conspiracy theories are false and that they're all nonsense. But a lot of the conspiracy theories people purport and believe in are nonsense, for sure. That's why we have to put everything to the test. Any and every claim must be put to the test. We can't be just sitting around believing all kinds of nonsense, hoping that one day magically we can hopefully reach conclusions based on bullshit. Because that's not how things are going to work anymore. We actually have to use reason, logic, fact-based evidence, empathy, and STEM so we can get to the bottom of understanding the nature of our reality. Theism is no longer acceptable. It is no longer sufficient, even though it's never been sufficient. It's not sufficient. It's insufficient. Spirituality, whatever, insufficient. You want to believe your little woo stuff? Keep that over there. But if you're going to try to purport that woo stuff is better than science, knock it off. Knock it off. Urgh. But for real, like, that's why theists, I don't care what they have to say. They need to start putting up or shutting the hell up. Put up or shut up. If you're going to say we need to believe whatever you believe, show us that what you believe is for real. You show me that what you're talking about is real, then I'll believe it. Because then it would just be a fact, and I wouldn't have to believe it. I would just accept it as fact. But I'm not going to accept bullshit. I'm not going to accept unsubstantiated nonsense. You actually have to demonstrate what you're talking about. Because if you don't, I don't see any good reason why anyone should accept it, let alone me. I have actual high standards. I actually want to ensure that my beliefs are rooted in reality, that my views are rooted in reality, and that I'm not just wasting my time believing bullshit that doesn't actually help us in the grand scheme of things. I am a futurist, which means I'm looking towards the future. I'm looking towards the logical conclusion of where we're going. And I do not want that logical conclusion to be self-destruction because we want to believe bullshit and don't want to take the necessary measures to combat climate change or any other existential risk that we face as human beings. So, we need to do the work, and it is going to be hard. Don't get it twisted. It is not gonna be easy. Y'all don't understand how hard it is for me to get on here doing lives, not knowing if anybody's gonna come here. But I do it because it's a necessity. It's a necessity because somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to say, hey, this is what we need to do. Somebody has to get on here, challenge the bullshit that plagues the world, that is just filled up in the world. We got to combat the nonsense at all costs. That's why they kicked me off of TikTok. Well, they didn't kick me off. They just banned my lives. So I can't go live on my main account. And I have to build up my alternate account before I could go live there. And even if I do, I still have to deal with TikTok's bullshit-ass community guidelines because they have a problem with people telling the truth. I just got like 2 strikes on my videos yesterday because TikTok is on some hating shit. So that's why I'm like, it's so whack how social media has become so draconian that it's almost impossible for us to trade information. But we have to keep fighting because this fight isn't going to be easy. Dr. King told us he had a dream. And he himself knew. He said himself, I might not get there with you. And he unfortunately didn't make it. He didn't get there with us, and we still ain't there. We still ain't there. But we're gonna get there. And that's one of the beauties of technology. That's why I'm such a technology advocate. That's why I use technology every single day. I am an addict. You might as well call me a cyborg. Because technology is going to be the key for how we fight against the bullshit. It's how we're going to be able to organize. It's how we're going to be able to trade information, educate ourselves and each other. And it's how we're going to be able to combat the corruption and the bullshit that we see out here. That's why it's so great that we're able to come together. Because without technology, none of us would be here right now. I would not know who you are. You would not know who I am. We just be living life, dealing with our own shit, wondering what the fuck is going on. But because of technology, we can come together. We can find like-minded individuals who have the same ideas, who say, yes, we want to fight for a better future, and then we can do it. So, yeah, I think I'm finna sign off right here. It was great talking to y'all. Thank y'all so much for coming through. I had a great time. And you already know what time it is. I'm going to be back tomorrow. So before I go, make sure you follow me on TikTok at The Ultimate Rage 9, at The Ultimate Rage 079. Follow me everywhere else at The Ultimate Rage. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, Reddit, Rumble, at The Ultimate Rage. Check out the Ultimate Rage Outrageous EP, available on all streaming platforms. New music coming soon with me and the guys. Supreme Elevation by the OD9 Squad. It's gonna be a doozy. It's gonna be some dope ass shit. And then I gotta work on some new music, some new solo shit. So be on the lookout for that. Thank y'all so much for coming through. I'm gonna be back Monday through Friday at the same bat time, same bat channel, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. So thank y'all. Love y'all. Holla at your boy. Peace out, y'all.